Friends and enemies. I forgot to put the branding up on the video. Hold on.
Okay. You can still put it up.
Do you see it? There it is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Better late than never.
Okay.
The first 3 seconds, it don't even matter. That's where all the hijinks come around and everything is just, you got to cut that shit out at the beginning.
That's right. That's right. I got buddies telling me here they want to change the date of our fantasy draft for football next week. No, the answer is no. My name is Joey. That's Len.
Is it next week?
Our draft for the show is Thursday.
Yeah, because doesn't the season start like before Labor Day, or am I wrong?
Starts next Thursday night.
Oh, I've been so far out of the loop. All right.
It's going to be fun. Thursday night game, Friday night game. I think there's a Saturday game, maybe Sunday and Monday in the No Fun League.
Monetize it all the way, brother. Remember, it used to be like, just just Sundays. And then the Monday night was the, special day. Now everything's a special day. Yeah. And none of them are special as a result. Let's do it, boys. Let's monetize it.
How's that going?
Living the dream, brother. Yeah. Living the dream. You know what? It's a good day. It's a good weekend. We're looking at potentially the rates are going to be cut. We'll talk about that, I think, because Powell's saying that maybe time to cut rates, and Bitcoin responded to that, which is really nice.
Giving it all back now.
Hey, that's good for. Again, I had a long chat this weekend with normies, and good
what
times.
What normies are you talking to?
Oh, I talk to normies out there. I'm out there. I'm communicating. I'm trying to spread the word of Bitcoin. Sometimes I'm up against a brick wall, which is good. Yeah. So as long as the price is suppressed, it's advantageous for us because we're buying it on the cheap. We know it's going to go up. We know there's going to be value in this. It's going to just absolutely skyrocket. So we're able still to change our local currency into more Bitcoin as a result.
Yep. Can't beat that. I'm okay. The price is whatever. It's it goes up, it goes down. It's in and out. No problem for me.
But we haven't been yet banned. That's the one thing, right?
No, thankfully, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Telegram on the out here. Maybe we'll talk about that tonight too. I'm not sure, but we may as well start with the sponsors. Easy DNS, best place for you to procure a domain, port a domain, anything to do with domain name services, name servers. Mark is your guy. What can you say about Mark, Len, that hasn't been said already? We've been doing ads for Mark for a long time. He's been a great supporter of this program. He actually did a space, I think last week or the week before, with Joe Barbuto, another friend of the show, and gave us a shout out at the end of his 2 hours before he went yet another hour talking about the collapse of the fiat system and CBDC rollout and all these other things people care a lot about. But if you want to do something as far as a website, Mark is your guy. Virtual private server stuff available with EasyDNS as well for Bitcoiners, whether you want to do a Nostr relay, Bitcoin node, BTC Pay server, nodeless, you name it. He's got all that stuff there. Plus, you're going to get the highest quality product in the land as far as security and efficiency. Mark, always ahead of the game when it comes to all these threats. How do I know? Well, because we do a podcast for him called Access of Easy to go along with his weekly newsletter, where he talks about the latest and greatest in data breaching and overreaching. And, there's so much more going on out there than people realize until you have a website, until you need a website. You don't want to be responsible for making sure that all these things are firing on all cylinders. That's where Mark comes in. So if you want to start something, easydns.com, CBP Media is the code. Just tell him we sent you 50% off your first bucket of buys with Mark and the team. Who's next?
Yeah, Bull Bitcoin, right? Like we just talked about the price of Bitcoin a few minutes ago. Price went up. Looks like price is going back down. So maybe a good time to buy, maybe a good time to sell. Either way, you have those options with Bull Bitcoin. Fees are still kind of low, so you can still take advantage of the on-chain, but there are Lightning you could take advantage of. So if fees go up, and it did go up briefly this week, you could take advantage and use Lightning, because Lightning gives you the opportunity to move Bitcoin on the cheap, and Bull gives you the option to buy and sell using Lightning as well. But not only that, you could also spend your Bitcoin through Bull Bitcoin and start using that to pay your bills. So you have a credit card bill, you have mortgage payment, whatever. You can start using your Bitcoin in order to pay those bills. So maybe you have a large stack of Bitcoins and you've been stacking it for a long, number of years.
You ought to.
I hope so. After listening to us, I hope people have been doing that. And so the price, you bought at a much lower point, and so now it's much more valuable today. What could you do with it? Pay some bills with your Bitcoin, and Bull Bitcoin will enable you to do that. But you could also buy gift cards with Bull Bitcoin, and you can spend your Bitcoin indirectly in the real world, and you can live on a Bitcoin standard. That's pretty damn cool. And if you haven't yet opened an account, use our promo code below if you do $21 is going to be added to your account next time when you open it and provide the necessary information. So check them out. They are an awesome company. Joey, you did a video for them not too long ago, right?
I did. No, I did. I did a just a brief video on why I like Bull, why I use Bull, why other people should use Bull. It has nothing to do with the sponsorship either, by the way. It's that if you want to support a company that is Bitcoin only, Bitcoin focused, there's no better way to do it. And Mr. Arnome, who was our guest last week, as much as he doesn't like that we have monetized our opinions, thinks they're the best company in the world for Bitcoin, best exchange in the world. I think that's probably true. They're not available everywhere in the world, but I think they're the top Bitcoin exchange on the planet in terms of product and mission. So yeah. You can't
wait for my video. I got to go on location for this one. I'm still scouting out the best spot.
Where are you going?
I have an idea in my mind. I don't know exactly where, but it's going to be. I got the props. I got everything I need to do. I just need to.
Is Serena going to be in it?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just going to be in whatever else I bring with me. A couple of gimmicks, the whole 9 yards. We got one more sponsor though, Joey, right?
Yeah. Decentral Tech, the best in the business. I was outside with my dog before this, trying to think of a clever tag like we have for the other two sponsors. I got to come up with one for these guys at some point, but this is the kind of place you go to if you want to do a little mining. You want to help decentralize, as the name goes, the hash rate into your basement. Do some mining that your wife will not be too upset with, will not bankrupt you. You support the network, point your hash rate to a pool that makes sense for you, one that you support, one that's not really, what would you say, Len? One that's on the up and up, maybe not one of these ones who does some suspect activities and supports certain elements of the Bitcoin network, and
you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Like they're upfront, they're Bitcoin focused.
Yeah,
and right, like look, if you want to,
I was talking about the pool. The hardware there is second to none, and you actually see today a lot of people in my, I don't know, I guess in my timeline. Maybe it's the algorithm feeding me this because I've been talking with Decentral on Twitter now. But there's a lot of people who want the BitAxe. A lot of people,
I got it now. But there's a reason for that.
CBP branded BitAxes.
Yes,
not great.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
That's coming up. It's going to be a limited run. I don't think it's going to be
75 of them. 75.
So so if you want to get one of these suckers,
buy a couple. I'm going to buy some for my friends and family for like Christmas gifts. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I have a limit order of buying 75 of them. Then I'm going to put them on the market this Christmas. I'm going to make a killing.
Go there, buy a BitAxe, get your hashboard repaired, all that good stuff. Jonathan and the crew over there, best in class. Like all our sponsors, there is no second best with our sponsors. So head over and make sure you give those guys a couple of bucks. What do you want to do next? Maybe we'll do some housekeeping here first.
Sure.
Last week, Mr. Arnome, another big thanks to him. I enjoyed that conversation. He seems like a very down-to-earth guy, as much as I maybe disagree with some of his takes. And it sounds like you do too. I do like how we are we on the road to influencer? Is that what I'm taking from that interview?
I would think, sorry, I would think not. I would think we're not there because I don't think we're doing the stuff that influencers should be doing. Look, are you out there touting trash? Are you out there saying one thing but doing it? Like that's right. Like, and to be honest, I'm very rarely on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if anything, I'm the anti-influencer. I just come on here talk shit about Bitcoin.
I think we're like we're just talking to each other the same way we were so many years ago at my kitchen table. I don't think we're influencers, but I did appreciate his feedback and viewpoints. It's always good to talk to an OG like that. He's been around a long time and he's seen a lot. And so the white blood cell response from the OG crowd is something that is valuable in Bitcoin and will become, I think, more valuable as time goes on. Even if I don't agree with everything, losing it is also not an option. So that was a great show. What?
That was a dynamite show, and we got a lot of feedback from that. In terms of the boosts, we got a ton, and some that even make the cut in terms of comments about the show.
We'll definitely go through them. And then the other note is, there's two other notes. I did the Karadza Your Life, Your Terms show last Friday. Absolutely. No, 2 Fridays ago, I guess. It was released on Friday. Is that true? Was it 2 Fridays ago I did it? I forget now. I was so high on caffeine.
Yeah, because the last one I invited you to come out to Mystic, and you said you couldn't do it. So so it was probably 2 Fridays ago.
So it was a really good show. Young Aiden has been dropping clips here and there. The one that just came out before the show was about me saying that if you can't squat 225, if you don't own a home, and if you don't have a kid, maybe voting shouldn't be something that you're entitled to do. So I'll be ready for the tomatoes on that. And I really appreciate Tom and Nick having me as always. It was a pleasure talking to them. this week in the show, no interview, being replaced by the it's the second year we're doing it, but the first time ever, we're going to stream the CBP fantasy football draft. So I'm going to cram as many of the 12 people into one of these StreamYard rooms as I can. And we're just going to shoot the shit, have a couple of beers, and throw away 50,000 sats watching the No Fun League all year.
Do a 12-hour session, 12-hour stream.
Yeah,
you want to do it? Yeah, just try to monetize this as much as, because you got to make YouTube love us somehow, because it looks like we're in the outs for these guys.
Yeah, maybe.
So we'll do it, man. Give them what they want.
So that'll be good. That's gonna be really good. In that league, there's a couple of people you guys might know. Last year's winner, I can't remember the name of his team, Fish Bomb or something like that. So he got an automatic bid. We're welcoming Boomer to the league. Alex from Bull Bitcoin will be in there. Aiden Karadza is in the league this year. And then I think I just gave it to whatever 8 or 9 other people who wanted to join. It was basically first come, first serve. So can't beat it, man. Fantasy football is a love of mine. And actually, on that note, I just had delivered to my house something called a Buzz TV box recommendation from Maurizio of Lead and Fame to watch Red Zone and college football during the season. So apparently you can get like basically everything on this. I just sent him a picture of it before we went live. I'll have to check my DMs after and see how to set this thing up. But I'm hyped. I've never been a cable cutter, and I'm fully transitioning to the way of the cable cutter starting.
Oh my god! Weekend. Imagine how much money you could.
We canceled our cable here probably 2 months ago because I was just sick of paying it every month. And so now my wife watches her. She barely watches TV. She's more of a reader, but she does like a good Housewives series. And so Amazon had that. But then the sports, like I need the sports, man. I'm a big sports guy.
There's
so
tons
this is gonna be good.
Look, if an esteemed politician gets rid of her Disney Plus subscription, then you can do the same for your cable bill, right? Like, let's just follow the lead of these individuals, and maybe we'll get to the right path. And
we can turn this ship around.
That's good for you. Good for you. That's because I was trying to get you to do that a long time ago.
I'll post the review video of Buzz TV. Anyway, it was pretty cheap too. It was only like $140, I think. And it's, as far as I can tell, it's like the best one. I thought it was going to be like at least a couple $100, but I grabbed it yesterday afternoon off Amazon, and it showed up here about 20 minutes ago. So there you go. Yeah.
Plug it in now while I talk about the boost, Joey, and
let's do it. Let's do it
right after. So we're getting a ton of boosts for some reason. And so Anonymous, 2,100 sats. And I wish you put a name associated with this, because Anonymous, I don't know who the heck wrote this, but talks about Mr. Arnome. And he writes, man, this guest, what a soapbox prick. If it wasn't for these influencers, then I wouldn't have gone on down the rabbit hole as much as I have. Just because I can't run a node yet and use Liquid when the fees are high. Bitcoin is for everyone, not just high-tech nerds like 2011. He is what kept Bitcoin from having mass adoption. Amazing he doesn't chastise me for having a hot wallet for 2% of my stack. And no wonder my peers still think us Bitcoiners are weird. Haha. So yeah, he didn't really enjoy that. And well, take what he says with a grain of salt, but there is a lot of truth to it, I would say, especially with the ability to run a node, verify your transactions, don't expose your Bitcoin to hot wallets, much of it. I like his idea about having a time, you time lock your Bitcoin.
Did you mess around with that wallet, Len, by the way, Liana wallet after the show?
I haven't.
I kind of started. I'm going to continue this week maybe and see, throw a little bit on there and see if I like it. It looks kind of cool. I did appreciate that tip from him.
So
I also appreciate that boost. That boost is very nice. And I got a lot of similar feedback from people, both whom I know very well and people who I barely know at all. So I appreciate that. I know Len does as well.
Anonymous, again, 2,100 sats. Again, I want to thank you for the sats. I don't know who you are, though. Going to promote Fountain over YouTube for following you guys, as I'm sure it's a matter of time before the CBP, they come out for you for the CBP and get you banned. Because on YouTube, we'll talk about it later on, but it looks like there's some action going on over there. And thanks for the sats, because it's definitely going to help us out. And listen to us on Fountain. It's not live, unfortunately, but still you can listen to us the very next day and give us a boostergram like you did. So thank you.
I see Boomer, speaking of which, messaging in from many different platforms where no one can see his comment. I see them, Boomer, but no one else can see
on the Rumble. The Bird, the Blank. Interesting name. 5,000 sats.
Thank
Mr. Arnome, while I don't agree with a lot of his political views, He is an exemplary example of principles over preference. Would love to hear him on a show again someday. It's always good and refreshing to hear people like that. Send him some splits for the show. So yeah, I'll send him the half of this, and yeah, away you go.
Absolutely.
So
He's
yeah, I'd
welcome
love to bring him
anytime,
on
by the
again.
way, whether we disagree with him or agree with him. He's welcome anytime. How many times have we said, Len, the guests we want are the guys who like dig in, have opinions, they're well thought out, they can defend them. And, you know, that's the kind of guests you want to talk to, right? We talk to guys in the traditional finance space who don't agree with Bitcoin, but, you know, have good thoughts on a lot of other stuff that we may agree with or can have dialogue on. This is no different. Is a good show. I'd love to do it again.
But I agree with a lot of what he says, to be honest.
Oh, same. Quite a bit. There was a lot more agreement last week than disagreement, for sure, between the three of us.
Rod Palmer, 10,000 sats. Hey, maple syrup guzzlers, come join the intellectual Silk Road. I hope we're already there.
I think I might be on the road. Yeah, I don't know. Gotta find out.
Last we and but not least, we have North Star Welds service.
Yeah.
1,200, 345 sats.
12,000, 345. That's like Freeland trying to read the debt number. Remember that?
So this guy, North Star Weld Service, he's been writing in to us the last few weeks, giving us a ton of sats, and I appreciate
God bless him.
that.
Yeah.
Here's my contribution to the CBP jet. We're not buying one, by the way. Please give me a PO box.
Don't rule it out.
No. If it's going to be a toy one, please give me a PO box for a generous donation to Feces for Mental Health. Never say Bitcoiners are selfish with their resources. By the way, school will be starting soon, so please return the Tupperware container. We'll send prepaid shipping labels. Who the heck stole the Tupperware?
That's a good note. I like that.
But yeah, like CBP jet is not happening. It's we'll mean that, but we won't mean it into existence. There's no way I'm going to be on the same level as people like what was that clown, Mark Cuban? So
yeah.
No, he's got two private jets. Word zero.
He's got a couple. Yeah, he's not worried about the climate when he's flying private. I'll tell you that.
Anyways,
let's get rolling. What do you want to talk about? 17 minutes? That's long enough. Let's get started.
Well, same thing like last week. You talked about that Esso thing because it's hot off the heels of that Port Colborne Esso story, the Esso gas station that was accepting Bitcoin. We now have it revealed on Twitter that Canada's first liquor store is now accepting Bitcoin as payment. And this is Jack Lonsdale's liquor store located at 1433 Lonsdale Avenue, North Vancouver, BC. So
nice.
Nowhere anywhere close to us. And we, I guess, owe some thanks to the people at Coinos for this because they were able to help make this a reality. Once again, for this one, I don't know what is going to be their MO moving forward, if they're going to be hodling the Bitcoin like the people at the Esso were doing or have mentioned they're doing. But I do hope that they understand the requirements for on their end if they do start selling their Bitcoin that they've collected from these purchases, because in Canada, if there is a capital tax that's applicable to Bitcoin when you sell it. So I hope that they understand it, but not just them, but also the people that go there to spend their Bitcoin. So if you're going to be spending it there, just be very careful. Make sure you document everything, because if it's on chain and there's tied to KYC and you don't report this to CRA, there's going to be some recourse down the road. And we don't know, if you're going to fly under the radar, but if you don't, it's going to be tough moving forward. So I suggest for this is not financial advice, of course, but seek out an accountant or reach out to CRA, get some information. But either way, with respect to the story, this is more of a slowly then suddenly moment. Now we're having another business that's offering to sell their goods in Bitcoin. And this, I suspect it's going to happen more frequently moving forward. Is it going to be widely available? We're going to get a bunch of things in the next little while. Probably. Are people going to start spending their Bitcoin? Probably not. People, I think, want to hold on to their Bitcoin more than anything, but at least the option's available. And it shows that it is a medium of exchange, that you could use it as money, like we talked about with Mr. Arnaud, or Sailor saying it's not money. Well, it is money. Look at this, another example. It is fucking money. So I'm not sure if you want to add anything more to this thing.
What's there to say? Cole, like I said last week, crushing it. I was actually just cutting up the shorts from last week's show today, and so there's a few of them scheduled over the next week or so. And one of them is about Cole doing this great work in the sort of broader community to get people onboarded with Bitcoin via Coinos. Now we just got to make these guys happy that they spent the time, right? Go patronize these businesses with Bitcoin, spend and replace, all that good stuff. Like Len mentioned, do some bookkeeping along the way. But Len, there's gonna be a lot more of these guys as things roll forward here. We got, I think, some pretty solid price action coming our way over the next 12 months, 24 months, something like that. I expect that this will continue. More people will want to do this. I think tradespeople are great candidates for this. Small business owners like this liquor store guy. And by the way, Len, it's going to be a lot of independent retailers able to sell liquor here in Ontario pretty soon as well, or beer here in Ontario pretty soon. Why not get them too? Maybe I'll start cruising around Dundas with, I'll get Cole to come by. We'll do a Dundas tour. Try and get some vendors on board.
Did we lose you, Joey?
No, I'm good. I'm here.
Okay, you stuttered for a second there. Maybe it's my link or yours. Either way. So, not sure if you noticed, but other people did notice this past week that on the Bitcoin network, the fees jumped substantially for a very brief period of time. And we've been in this single sats per VByte territory for quite some time. So, for people that don't understand, moving around Bitcoin, at least for the past little while, has been cheap. You could do it for less than $1 for the most part. And the fees unexpectedly jumped on August 22nd. And mempools all over the world were showing transactions that were coming in around a 4-figure number of the sats per VByte. And that's basically a lot more money to move your Bitcoin during that particular period of time. So, but that jump in fees was temporary. It was just a very short period of time. So, and apparently this could be attributed to something called the Babylon Bitcoin staking.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never heard of that before. And I've not heard of it since. I'm pretty sure this might be what's caused it, but still, it's just a blip on the radar. But what this is, I can't believe we'll talk about it just very, very briefly, because I guess people are wondering why the fuck did this cause the price of Bitcoin to jump, at least the transaction fees to jump temporarily. People were able to lock up their Bitcoin using this staking thing. So Babylon put in a limit of 1,000 Bitcoin that could be staked. So shitcoiners all over were jumping over each other, trying to get in and have their Bitcoin staked. So they were competing against each other to try to make sure that within the 1,000 Bitcoin that you could stake, that they're part of that. So they were raising their transaction fees to make sure that they were included. So the staking doesn't give more Bitcoin. Let's be honest, that this is not anything to do with Bitcoin. It's simply you're giving somebody your Bitcoin, they keep the keys, and they enable you to gain more shitcoins. And what could go wrong through all this, Joey?
Nothing. We've never seen this before. This has never happened. This is innovative, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. This is one of a kind, and certainly to take advantage. Fuck that. This whole exercise does prove that fees can easily jump. And right now, we're still very lucky that fees are cheap. Very, very cheap. So transacting Bitcoin, moving it from place to place is really, really cheap. So it's a good opportunity. If you haven't yet done so, consolidate your UTXOs while they still are cheap. There will be a point in time, maybe not next month, maybe not next year or next decade, but it will eventually happen that fees will be high, and you will be kicking yourself if you have not consolidated your UTXOs right now. Do it. Do yourself a favor. Fucking do it. If you need help, I'll show you the fucking way. It's very, very simple, but simply do it while the fees are cheap.
Yeah, Sparrow lets you do it very, very easily. There's probably other wallets that let you do it pretty easily too, but Sparrow's one I'm most familiar with. I don't understand why people are sending Bitcoin to staking services and things like this. What am I missing here? Like, I thought we were maturing as an ecosystem. I look at the ETH BTC ratio. It's like all-time lows every day. I see the bankless guys tweeting out that they don't think the economics of Ethereum are going to work long-term all of a sudden. Like,
what? The bankless thing? I know.
Hoffman tweeted out the other day that he's like, where's the interest going to come from in this? Like, how are we can't just have people gambling on shitcoins. Like, okay, man, like we've been saying this to you for fucking 5 years at this point. You didn't want to listen. Instead, you started a podcast about it. And now your whole personality rides on this. I don't understand why people are looking into staking and whatnot still. There is no, in my opinion anyway, there's no demand for DeFi in these like secondary networks or non-Bitcoin tokens or whatever. Instead, where the demand is, like we talked about before, it'd be like Bitcoin collateralized loans. Is that ideal in terms of parking your Bitcoin with someone else? No, but at least you can use it for something, IRL, meat space type stuff, right? This other, network staking thing. Why? Who's asking for that? Who's asking for that?
There was demand for it because fees spiked. Not going to say that there's a lot of.
Is it manufactured demand? Like, we can only take 1,000 Bitcoin. I actually read it was 100 transactions, not even 1,000 Bitcoin. Maybe I misread that. but
Joey, it's
that's
all
crazy.
manufactured, because when
Yeah.
you're talking about generating yield from something, that's generated. That's an individual coding something and figuring out a way to move money around. So people buying in are the liquidity for people coming out.
It is funny in the chat, Narwhal, rug pulling coming. Muslim Bitcoiner staking is the most fiat garbage I've ever heard. Everyone knows it. So who, like, this is why when people say to the guy who sent us the first boost, the anonymous guy, well, I do agree that the delivery from Mr. Arnome, could use a little bit more honey instead of, vinegar. Fine. The reason he has that delivery is because of stuff like this, right? Like, he's seen this a million times over and over again. People are getting ripped off, scammed, conned by people, Bizarro World, Len and Joey, who are doing a show or a space or whatever, talking about yield and returns on your Bitcoin. It's damn near the Elon Musk send me one, get two back YouTube scam. And we'll see what happens with this stuff, Len. I don't know much about the company who did this. I think it was ARK, maybe. Was it ARK? I forget. Not ARK, the investment house. ARK is
No.
like another sort of Bitcoin company, but
I don't know.
I got to look into that because I don't want to besmirch the good name of ARK if they are not doing this. But there is something going on with these guys. And I mean, Len, how many times have we told people on this show, dating back to God knows how long ago, there's risk, there's yield, has risk. And we were sponsored by Ledin for a long time. And even then, okay, although those guys stayed afloat, although those guys did all the right things, and although arguably they, their risk management practices were a lot better, very sound, in fact, there's even risk there. If you really wanted to do this, there are ways to do it that are not quick, hurry up and pay $1,000 per transaction to get your thing in the next block because we have a limit on how much we're taking. There are reputable places that will do this for you, that will help you take that risk if you want it. In my opinion, it's still too much of a risk. But this is not the place I would be taking it if I was a Bitcoiner. That's the thing I don't understand. That's probably maybe the most puzzling part about the entire thing.
People think they're going to get their Bitcoin back.
Why? Like, I don't understand. Like, everything, you think everything's just a golden ticket? Like, it's insane to me this is still happening.
I 100% agree. When you give up your keys, you've said it there, there's risk to that. You don't have custody of your keys, somebody else does, regardless if it's in some sort of smart contract or what the fuck it is. Still, there's inherent risk that you may not get it back.
Yeah.
You're willing to do with that, all the more power to you. But let's be honest, what are you going to get in the end is just fucking garbage.
Narwhal, great tweet in the comments here too. More money has been lost chasing yield than at the point of a gun.
Yeah, it's hard for me to dispute that. I don't know.
Oh no,
Either way.
I don't know. Yeah.
A couple of Bitcoin mining stories I want to bring up. And number one, Bitfarms this past week, they announced that they are buying 100% of the equity securities for Stronghold Digital Mining. That's traded under the NASDAQ SDIG, SDIG. And according to Bitfarms, this is going to add an additional 4 exahash per second to their network, which is not too shabby. The transaction value is approximately 125 million US in equity, plus the assumption of debt valued at approximately 50 million US.
Cool. 200 mil said, yeah.
So we talked a lot in the past while about consolidation in this space. And here we go. This is another one that is now being gobbled up by another company. So Stronghold is interesting in its own right because it does own and operate 2 power plants in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
One with 25 megawatts. Sorry, one with 85 megawatts of generation capacity, and another with 80. So 85 and 80 megawatts for each of the 2 plants. So that's not too bad. So this is the play for, I guess, the pure Bitcoin miners. I think it's somehow they got to pick up some other way to create or generate their own electricity and use that to mine Bitcoin. Simply relying on electricity from the grid and using that to mine Bitcoin, there is an element of risk with that. And I think Bitfarms is trying to do what they can to get around that. And at the very least, they're going to be having 2 places to generate electricity. But still, in the end, let's be honest, it's $125 million US in equity, but there's debt here of 50 million. So this company is Stronghold Digital, just like all Bitcoin miners, it seems. They're just laden with debt and they just tack on more debt. That's just the way things go with these companies. So there you go. Bitfarms, it may not be truly just a relying on the grid. They're doing their own thing and generating their own energy moving forward, at least for this particular thing.
So go back and listen to the interview I did with Jeff Lucas from June, I think, maybe late May, early June, whatever. He hinted at this transaction, and I didn't whatever. We were just talking about M&A in the space, and he was saying that this stuff was, and he hinted at it and just said, we can't talk about much right now, but there is some stuff going on in the M&A space for sure in Bitcoin mining, and we want to be a part of it. This, they had this on the burner, which is great. Is this a Ben Gagnon front to back transaction, or did he finish this one off for the last CEO? Any idea?
I don't even have it. I don't know how long it takes.
I don't know. And I haven't seen Ben talking about it either, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Either way, they've done it, so it's consolidation is taking place, and expect more moving forward. So this is not going to be the last one we're going to see like this.
Do you think that Bitfarms is a long-term acquirer or target? I mean, they have the Riot stuff going on. Where does that put them in the ecosystem? You know better than me, I think.
Yeah. So I lost you for a second. So Rhodium Enterprises.
Rhodium.
Have you heard of them?
No.
Okay. So yeah, it's a company that they've been mining Bitcoin. These folks have been trying to go public back in 2022. So they've been around the block, but they pulled the rug on that one at the very last minute. So they didn't go. They were trying to do a reverse SPAC. Or was it? Is it SPAC or reverse? Whatever the fuck it is. Either way.
Can't do a reverse SPAC would just be giving money back.
No, so it'd be a SPAC. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's what they tried to do. They tried to go through, but it never worked out either way. So in 2021, to give some context here with Rhodium Enterprise, they mined more than 2,800 Bitcoin in that year. And if you look at the other Bitcoin miners, the publicly ranked ones, they ranked 5th in comparison to them in terms of how many Bitcoin they mined in that year. And in 2022, they increased their Bitcoin mining production to 3,600 Bitcoin for the year. So clearly they're a decent sized company. Try to go public. This isn't just some mom and pop small pick that just sprung up overnight. These guys were mining Bitcoin, a lot of it, and aspired to go public at one particular moment of time. But a couple of weeks ago, it was leaked that they were having issues with paying back their loans. And this was as the loans that were due in July of this year. And if you look at the debts that they have, they raised almost 80 million of the debt, and that was to expand their operations. And I believe this is the debt that's causing them problems. So to make matters worse, they were also relying on hosting services for mining. So in fact, they were using Riot's infrastructure to mine Bitcoin. So they didn't generate their own electricity. They used somebody else to host. So you can just see the red flags here. But things really went bad at this particular moment, because this past week, Rhodium filed for Chapter 11. For a company that wanted to go public just 2 years ago, that mined a heck of a lot of Bitcoin, 2011, in terms of how much Bitcoin they mined, they were 5th compared to publicly traded miners. Well, another one bites the dust. And how they will emerge after Chapter 11 is anybody's guess. But if I were to bet on a particular outcome, it's probably going to be consolidation. They might be gobbled up by another company in the next little while. But just another example, if you don't generate your own electricity, in the long run, you're going to be screwed.
Rhodium is a weird name for a Bitcoin mining company. You know what Rhodium is?
It's an element?
Yeah, but do you know what it's like famous for?
No.
It's how gold is made white. So, diluting the purity. I don't know. There's a story in there somewhere, but I don't have it handy here. I mean, the question I asked you before we're getting disconnected there for a second. This M&A, where is Bitfarms? I know we're talking about Rhodium, but like they're done. MIA, they're DOA, I should say now. When you think about Bitfarms, are they an acquirer or are they a target long term? They have the Riot stuff going on, new CEO in place. Where do you put them in the hierarchy? You know better than me on that front. Where would you?
If I were to guess, a lot of these are just going to be targeted for purchase.
By who?
Somebody that's much bigger than them that wants to get into space and also has the ability to move.
Not a Bitcoin miner though, right?
Probably not.
Okay, that's where I wanted to go with this. I agree with you on that, I think.
Yeah, I think that a company that has the ability, like has energy that's just not being used. So rather than buy up equipment from Bitmain, wholesale cost, retail cost for brand new equipment, they can get something cheaper. That's used. They just simply move it from A to B and continue mining. I'm guessing that's what would happen, but I could be wrong.
I think you're right. I think you're right. It's gonna be interesting to see. And like these companies, like you mentioned there, like it's such a cutthroat business in terms of the economics. And I think it's going to be cutthroat in terms of the financing and availability of public support and all these different things too over the next, as the epoch kind of unfolds here a little bit. We're still really early. The halving was only 6 months ago. It was in March, right?
April.
So 5 months ago, like we're really not that far along. And I think that you're going to see a lot more companies kind of, there'll be some
It was
soft
almost
parts
4 months
dangling
to
on
the
the
day.
beach. Yeah, we're close. I know we're close.
Like
This is
it's
actually, by the way, like the sort of last, I don't know what you call this, last stretch of sort of flat price action you would expect following a halving. You're going to start seeing activity most of the time here, off a cycle low and after a halving. Those times are going to be pretty close to each other this time around. So I think like sort of separate from mining, I think people who are not stacking during these like choppy times, I just don't know why the hell not. Honestly, it blows me away.
There's a lot more to it this time around because you have these mechanisms that you can buy Bitcoin using traditional markets. Like you could get the ETFs.
Oh, sure.
So,
Should
right?
still drive price though. Should still drive price.
One way or another. I mean,
Yeah.
as the market, then you have also GBTC. When they start selling, which they did, I think they're down like in terms of the total amount.
They got almost nothing left. Yeah.
They're like still a couple 100,000 in the grand scheme of things, but it was like 600-700,000 they had. So there's a lot of different factors to consider this time around. And because of that, it's impacting the price, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then also on top of that, I don't think retail is buying up. Before, retail was driving up price before. I don't think retail is doing it as much this time around.
What makes you say that?
Well, now with the ETFs, and you see pension plans buying in, you see JP Morgan.
So you think it's people holding IBIT and the other ETFs really moving price now as opposed to the pleb stackers there, the DCAers?
I think they have more capital at their disposal and they can move stuff. And I think that the retail investors don't have the same amount of capital they did before, given that the inflation that's impacting us. So 5 years ago, you could spend more on stuff like Bitcoin. Now it's harder to do that when the price of everything's gone up.
I agree.
And it's not to say that businesses don't have the same type of challenges to deal with, but I just think that they're able to allocate capital much easier than we can, especially a lot of capital.
I'm with you. I think that's a good point. I'm waiting to see what happens when the first cut comes in September, and whatever the outcome of the election is will be huge too. I think those two things are going to drive price more than anything else, more than any other fundamental, any other inflow, anything. That's going to be the thing that dictates where the next year goes.
Mount Gox, I forgot about that. Boomer mentioned that. It's another one that's driving.
Yeah, they're still selling.
Yeah. So El Salvador, they're 80,000 public servants. They didn't realize they had that many, but they do. They'll be able to take part in a Bitcoin certification program. And this public certification has 7 different modules, takes about 160 hours to complete. And each of these modules details several concepts like laws, skills, management related to the use of Bitcoin as legal tender.
Love it.
And gives these 80,000 individuals potentially a broader understanding of Bitcoin. So again, another slowly then suddenly moment here. So given what's going on in economics, like stuff like this and general finance, this should be taught in school. I know this is going off a little bit of a tangent here, but I think this is, I'm not sure if it is being taught right now in Ontario, but certainly this should be considered, especially giving people a better understanding of what's going on with finances and economics, but also sprinkling some Bitcoin if they can. But either way, it's one sense, it's with respect to El Salvador, it's kind of strange in that the certification is coming out many, many years after they adopted Bitcoin as a currency, but El Salvador is paving a path that has never been walked before. So they are trailblazers, so to speak. So every step they take here, nobody has walked there. So maybe that's why everything is taking a little bit longer. But once it's done and it's here, it's a lot of just a copy pasta type thing. Mm-hmm. Some other country or even a company wants to do something similar, they could just use a lot what's been done over there and take advantage of that. So I like this. This is pretty cool stuff. And I want to hear some feedback of it once they take these certification programs.
Jaime Garcia will probably have an in on this, won't he? Will he be able to get some of that material? I hope he can.
I hope so. Well, we have other contacts over there, so yeah, we'll be able to get some feedback. But I want to hear about it. Like, it sounds
Same.
really fucking cool.
Same. President Bukele, come on the show. Okay. Yeah, very exciting. If only every public service was doing this, but a story for another time.
Podcasting 2.0 for people out there that use that, like it. I would recommend Fountain as one way to listen in. Fountain themselves, they had released an update this past week to version 1.1. And in this version, it enables you to connect to your Nostr profile.
Very nice.
That is pretty damn cool. So before this update, the boostograms that we've been getting were only available to see on the Fountain platform. So with this change now, with Nostr now included into the mix, messages that, or these boosts that are being sent, now they will also end up in your Nostr feed. So say, if Joey were to boost our show, for example, like, your comment would be included in your Nostr feed. So that way is a way to increase engagement. I like this move. Nostr integration in general is rather cool. It's still there's not much integration. Not integration. There's not much adoption yet. If you compare Nostr to X, it's night and day in terms of the amount of users using it. But still, I like this. This is another move that's showing off that there's a lot of possibilities that you could do with Nostr. So if you are a podcasting 2.0 user, I suggest check out Fountain. And if you are doing that, another thing I suggest is link that up with your Nostr profile. You might get a lot more engagement with any boost you send out, not just to our show, but to any of them. So check it out.
This was a pretty solid update. In terms of adoption, sort of separate from Nostr, there's a lot of people on Fountain too that I just didn't realize. Like, people who I used to see in live chat a lot. Dan Wedge, great example.
He's predominantly on there.
He's only on Nostr. Actually,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
he emailed me not long ago and told me he's only on Nostr. But I when I logged into Fountain the other day, I was like, holy shit! Like, I haven't talked to this guy in so long. I miss him and a few others who are still very active on Fountain. But I heard they were seeing the live chat, which really put a smile on my face. Nostr's time is coming. The Telegram news, significant. Governments around the world basically don't want you. I mean, what basically amounts to like whispering to each other, right? Like, no one's allowed to tell secrets anymore. Everyone's got to have a backdoor into every bit of communication that you do. Nostr's time is coming because there's no CEO to pick up in France for Nostr. The Nostr CEO is not, sacrificing his OPSEC for some Instagram thought pussy like the Telegram guy decided to do over the weekend, and had that girl posting literally every move they were making, and he got nabbed by the French authorities and now faces 20 years in jail. I hope that was worth it, buddy, because that's going to cost you big time. Talk about breaking frame, a story for another podcast. But anyway, good to see that Fountain's adding Nostr. If they integrate it, some other places integrate it, Len, we'll be better off. I got to spend more time on Nostr. I have Damus on my phone, or Damus, whatever the pronunciation is.
Primal's a good one too.
Is it? Yeah. How's that one? Better than Damus?
I hear that I don't want to say it's another one. I just want to say just try that out, and then you can make your own decision which is better of the two. Is on desktop, Primal is the only one that I've seen, and it works really well. Okay. On Android, so Amethyst, it works really well. I've
not heard of that one. I've not heard of that one. Primal, I kind of remember from before.
So there's a Primal desktop, so you can even just dip your toes in that.
Yeah,
check it out.
Some support for that in the chat too.
So Telegram, you've recently got, within the past year, a new phone, right?
Yeah.
And when you did that, did you not notice when you put in your Telegram app, all the chat and everying just recovered?
Yeah.
Like, so where's that
stored? Of course it's stored. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's going to be like, and if for anybody to say like, wow, like this is mind-blowing, I can't believe this happened. Come on, you just do that.
The mind-blowing thing isn't that they're storing the data, though. The mind-blowing thing is that they picked the guy up who, coded an app and then basically held him on 12 charges that amount to you're not moderating everything everyone says on your app at all times.
So we talk about this a lot on Axis of Easy, and that Europe is putting this in play. Yeah. And this type of scenario, I don't think I'm going to see Elon Musk fly anywhere near Europe. No. And this is going to apply. it applies for anybody that's running a platform like this.
Friend of the show, Preston Burnland, who we had on a year or two ago, a lawyer, basically saying today, he has a great blog post on this I recommend people read, but basically saying the long and short is, if you are a software engineer and any of your stuff is showing up in any of these apps, you can't travel to Europe. You have to get your people out of Europe and all into the United States yesterday. And don't wait any longer, because these guys are they're relentless. They don't care about anything except power. There's no doubt about it. It's all there is to it.
100%. And so when you look at alternatives to Telegram, anybody out there that uses Signal, if you ever reinstall Signal, you'll notice that none of your chat history is there, which is interesting. What is there, though, is it does store your contacts.
Yeah.
So something is stored.
It's not storing it. It's sending it from the device you've used to verify your account.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So there is, I'm on the GitHub right now. So I'm on the Linux version of it, the Signal desktop. So you can analyze the code if you want to see how everything is operating. And this type of model I prefer. Is there's less that's being hidden. It's more transparent, and you could verify that they're not sending anything to the mothership, at least stuff that shouldn't be sent to the mothership. Telegram does that. So definitely look at other alternatives. It's simply not Signal. There's other ones as well. Keat being one.
Keat and Session others. Is another one.
Yes, that's another.
There's other ones too, but like, I don't know, man. Then there's other people who think that this guy getting picked up is actually like a false flag to make people think that Telegram is secure. You should be only using Telegram because it's so secure. We had to pick this guy up and blah, blah, blah. The other apps, we're not arresting anybody because they're not secure. We don't care. So they want you only using Telegram. I don't know. It's like, it's just so frustrating that everyone needs to see what you're talking about at all times, you know? And it's never just to, congratulate you on winning a beer league trophy. It's to make sure that they can use it against you when the time comes, which is extremely frustrating.
CZ, I'm not sure if you saw this one, but he's looks like he's coming out of prison very soon. This thing he is
already.
Wow. He's being moved to a different. It looks like September is the time he's coming out. Remember how much money people lost as a result of what he's done, and the hiding of stuff. And he's a
great Canadian. He's a legend, Canadian legend. CZ.
He went to school with Elon Musk, right? They went Waterloo together.
Is he that old? I don't know how old he is. He looks young. Yeah. He's Chinese, I guess. So it's hard to really pin a birthday down for that cultural group. They look so great as they get old, the Chinese.
Well, a lot of people are saying the bull mark starts when he comes out of jail officially. I guess I don't buy this fucking thing, but I guess you do. I don't know. I guess you don't either. So,
what do you think? Of course not. I may as well buy on the basis of like moon phases. I'm worried about when this guy gets out of jail.
The shitcoin market's gonna go bonkers once he fucking comes out. I guess the last one we should touch upon it is simply Bitcoin.
Yeah, I got some controversial thoughts on this. Go ahead, give the full breakdown.
Well, they Simply Bitcoin, their channel on YouTube got banned, but not just that one, but also Simply Bitcoin clips, for which they've, from what I understand, have never posted a single video. They were just hoarding that, and that's basically it. And that was also banned as well. They are concerned about why they tried reaching out to YouTube Help for assistance, and they never seem to get any information as to why, or at least they never provided us the information as to why it was banned. But it seemed like a benign channel for the most part. They weren't giving any editorial about, governments, like bashing them, so to speak. It was pretty benign, if you ask me. But either way, they got banned from YouTube. And I know you might, I'll pass it over to you. You got some ideas.
I got some unpopular thoughts.
I'm not sure if you want to even talk about them.
I'll say, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say anything, but I will say that I don't think, whatever, fuck it.
You think about it again. You really want to.
There's at least if you look at the notifications they're posting from YouTube, right? The letters they get, it says you're violating our community guidelines. Community guidelines is not limited to posting content that is harmful or hateful or whatever else YouTube says. It's also related to the way you manage your channel. And I'm not suggesting that necessarily they're like, out there buying views or buying followers or whatever. I don't know, but it doesn't have to be content related to get banned on the basis of the community guidelines, as the fulcrum. It takes more than that. And so I want to see what YouTube says here. And I want simply to be transparent about what the response is as well. Because in my opinion, this is a significant move against Bitcoin, but there's a lot of other Bitcoin channels that are not being banned and seem to never be affected by these kinds of things, right? Like I think we're a lot more abrasive than those guys are. And we have never even received a strike. I think the only strike we got was when I played some Trailer Park Boys audio, maybe like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. But there's been others that have been banned and reinstated. And I can't remember any off the top of my head.
Well, we've
seen it.
We're going to see.
So
the point I want to make though, is that there are for sure channels out there that are buying views, and the comment sections are full of spam comments. And you can see the subscriber count's not really going up. It's hard to make these accusations, but like running a YouTube channel is hard. YouTube is a hard game. It's a slow grind, and we don't spend a lot of time on YouTube or anything like that. So maybe we're just not the right people to ask. But there's patterns to look for in view counts and stuff like that. And I just think that there's more to this than maybe anyone realizes right now. And it doesn't necessarily even mean that those guys are responsible for it, right? Like maybe they got someone to help. For example, like a guy like BTC Sessions, who is a huge YouTuber, has been huge for a long time. He hired someone just recently to do like some back office stuff for him, right? Like help me out with some of the stuff, help me out with shorts or whatever. I don't know exactly what he did. You got to keep an eye on people like that if you hire them. And so maybe that's going on. There's a number of things that could happen. My hope is that the channel is reinstated and we just forget about this and those guys get back on the air. Nico and Opti, they seem like nice guys. I was on Why Are We Bullish with Opti once upon a time. Met Nico a little bit did I meet him? I think I was like at the same bar, but I don't think we actually ended up speaking. But anyway, these guys are, at the end of the day, Len, they're putting out a message that's very similar to ours, very similar to a lot of other people, that there's something going on in the world, economically, culturally, all these things, and you should be paying attention to it. Bitcoin might give you a fix for that. Consider it. There's nothing harmful about that. And I think one of the things we talked about on Axis of Easy and this show, the more you go down the rabbit hole, the more likely you are to upset somebody, especially as that sort of power structure becomes a little more fragile as time goes on. And you're seeing that. Governments all over the place. The Telegram thing is a great example. There are others that we don't have to cite for fear of having our channel ripped down and demonetized or whatever. But, you can see that the ground is a little shakier underneath these monoliths than it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And it's only going to continue to get shakier and shakier as time goes on. And so the things that you were able to say freely and without reprise a year ago, you may find that these things are not so freely said as time goes on. Maybe they're the victim of that. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. If 1 week we don't stream, you'll know what happened. Yeah, you'll know what happened. Exactly.
Well, Muslim Bitcoiner, I just want to Assalamu alaikum, brother. He says that Matthew Kramer goes unhinged on his channel, but he's yet to gotten the rug pull. According to Nico on Twitter, and I can't verify this, so I'm just
can't verify anything. That's the other problem with all this, is that I'm getting screenshots of emails, but it's not.
Well, this is a tweet he sent out. He said Bitcoin only channels that have been banned in the past. He lists 5 of them: Bitcoin Magazine, Swan Bitcoin, Bitcoin University, which is Matthew's channel, BTC Sessions, and Simply Bitcoin. I think we talked about. Did we talk about it in the past when Bitcoin Magazine got banned? Was that a topic of discussion, or no, I can't remember?
I don't even remember when they got banned.
Did we talk about that?
We did talk about Swan. Yeah, that was like the.
But Bitcoin University, I don't think we talked about BTC Sessions. No,
Bitcoin University got banned because that guy runs a trading service that he sells people. He never talks about it in his channels, but he runs like a service. So, I'm not saying it's a scam or isn't a scam, and I'm not saying YouTube doesn't allow it. Of course they do. Jesus, every ad before I watch a video on our channel is like a scam trading service pretty much. So, there's other stuff going on that's not immediately visible to people who are just kind of paying attention on the peripheral. But, I expect that we'll hear more details about this. And my recommendation, broadly speaking, okay, well, I appreciate that there are times when bringing public pressure and bringing public views to an issue you're having with a large company like Google, vis-a-vis YouTube, when your channel gets banned, from someone like Nico is it's a move that might help you get your issue resolved more quickly. But it also is a step toward perfect transparency that you may not want when YouTube tells you what the problem is, because you may not be aware what the problem is, like I said earlier. And if you're, like I said, you're paying someone to do like, I don't know, thumbnails or whatever, right? Like you don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. The guy who makes the thumbnails or the company that makes the thumbnails wants you to get views. You don't know what they're spending the money on. You have no idea. But you might find out the hard way, and you might find out very publicly if you go this route. And so if it was up to me, I would say like maybe not. It's hard. This is all difficult. I hope these guys bounce back, and I hope they get it sorted out. But I think there's a lot, and like don't forget too, right? Like you and me are lucky. We have really great sponsors who are not like addicted to play counts, addicted to YouTube algorithmic plays and all this other shit. Like we move volume through the sponsors. That's all they care about, right? Is it money in their pocket? I don't report views and plays, to the sponsors unless they really want to see it. But some sponsors are not like that. And that's another problem, right? Like if you're relying on this stuff, to our Noam's point, maybe you find yourself trying to get some help and you just don't know what kind of help you're getting until something like this happens. So I just think that this is there's more going on here. YouTube is extremely cutthroat. You are competing against a bunch of 20-year-old girls showing their ass and tits for eyes in the 20 to 35 male range. You got to play hardball. And sometimes hardball means there's a little bit of stuff going on the fringes. And like I said, I'm not necessarily saying that these guys know about it, but it could still be happening, especially if they're paying for outside help. And so I want to see how this ends up.
That's it for the Bitcoin related stuff.
Send it. God bless everyone. Come back for the second half of the audio tomorrow. If you're on video, stay right here. We're not going anywhere. And I'm not paying anyone to make the thumbnail unless it's my wife. So don't worry about any fake views or comments on our videos.
And don't be a cock.